You're listening to nothing important.
I did a Tough Mudder, and now that I think about it, it'd be awesome if at every obstacle there was just a nice little orange flag you could take home with you, and you got to stuff it down your pants and run on to the next.
There you go. I still do that every day. I love to get up every morning and take an orange flag and stick it down my pants. One of the highlights of kind of it.
Please enjoy the show. That's great. That works.
This is the Nothing Important Podcast. My name is Brian, and with me, as always, is Dave. Hi, Dave. How you doing, guy?
Does anybody understand the irony of NFG gear?
No. I don't even know what that is. And on the third mic is somebody I'm assuming also doesn't understand the irony of MFG gear. Jeff, hi.
I personally wear GNF gear.
You guys got to fill me in. I have no idea what either of them. You've stumped me.
Jeff gives no fucks. I am no fucks given. NFG
I am so lost.
is a fucking thing. It's like a subculture or whatever, and it stands for no fucks given. But it's people that they don't give a fuck to the point where they have to tell you how much of a fuck they don't give by putting massive NFG.
They have to pay somebody to make T-shirts for them to prove how much of a fuck they don't give about stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Nothing shows you don't care like mass-produced apathy.
Exactly.
Yes.
which, by the way, is the name of my new pop punk band, Mass-Produced Apathy. The CD's coming out next month. It's pretty awesome.
I was driving by a car the other day, and they had this. The sticker took up the entire back window. NFG, not once, not ever, not whatever, something 3 knots. And then like the dude in the passenger seat's got a NFG hat on, and the quarter panel's all dented in, and the hood's being held on by a fucking rubber band. What do you call those things? Bungee cord. And I'm like, yeah, apparently you give no
a big
fucks
hooky
about
rubber
your
thingy
car. No fucks.
Maybe that's the new thing for them because they give no fucks.
Yeah, they give no fucks.
They just buy a random car, and instead of having it wrapped in their advertisement, they just go and beat the shit out of it and then put a real crappy vinyl sticker on the back of it.
No fucks given.
That's their advertising gimmick.
I always like it when people wear stuff like that at like theme parks, because I feel like since they go out of their way to let people know that they don't give a shit, like that is their opportunity to really show a mass amount of people that they don't give a shit. But
exactly.
It's like cheaper than taking out a billboard. But
yeah.
Because
it's the
guaranteed
same
they're going to
principle.
walk past. Yeah, guaranteed they're going to walk past at least a few hundred people throughout the course of the day who's going to know that they don't give a fuck.
Right.
And those kind of people, I feel like as they're wearing the shirt and they're standing there, they probably think that they're somehow putting everybody else on edge by being so defiant and so in your face.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they're probably standing in line thinking like, man, but nobody's going to say shit to me, when like nobody's offended or intimidated. Everybody's just like, what a dork. Why is that guy wearing that shirt? like I guarantee there's nobody be like, whoa, man, I don't want to tell that guy to move up in line because
I was just saying,
he doesn't give a fuck quite clearly.
Yeah, do you think they ever
that tap out has a whole bunch of flames on it? Shit, man.
Well, do you think they ever they cut in line and then someone would be like, hey, motherfucker, you cut in line? They'll just be like, dude, read the shirt. No fucks given. Come on.
And they're like, oh, no. Fuck that.
I get it.
This guy, yeah,
I'm not going to fight that guy now.
I had full intention of throwing him into the water here at It's a Small World over the tiny bridge, but because of that shirt, fuck that. I'm not going to mess with that shit.
I was going to establish boundaries and stand up for my beliefs, but fuck that. He's got an NFG shirt on.
And you know, people like that are just laughing to the bank.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because
They're the ones that really don't give a fuck because they're taking advantage of stupid people and cashing in on it. They're the ones that really don't give a fuck.
That's kind of like one of my big issues with a lot of like Harley guys is I used to run hotels in Daytona Beach, and every year they would have this huge motorcycle rally. Yep. And it'd be people that were very obviously like lawyers and doctors and school teachers who just happened to take off that week so they could wear a bunch of leather right around with, a group of 20 friends and pretend that they were these big, crazy outlaws.
That's right.
Like that's all they want is the image. Like oh shit. Like, and I got to be honest with you. I'm not an easily intimidated guy, but I feel like it makes it even harder to intimidate me if you're wearing assless chaps. Like there's nothing about a pair of crotchless pants that to me says that you're a badass. Not a single
Brian,
thing.
Just so you know, all chaps are assless. By definition of a chap.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, I just want to put emphasis on the assless.
On assless.
They're super assless. Like there's no even a hint of it's so assless. They're not even there.
They took out extra material to where it's actually just goes.
It just covers.
It just
the
wraps
shins.
around your ankles.
It's from the knees down.
It's a belt and a strap that goes down and then just wraps around your ankles.
It looks like those like invisible leashes that you buy at amusement parks that like are supposed to look like you're walking a dog.
Yeah,
much like that. I gotcha. Okay, that makes a ton of sense.
It's just a wire frame.
Made by NFG, of course.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm not going through airport security because I give no fucks.
It's not a fucking garment.
I don't remember what I was gonna. Oh yeah, Dave. Your band.
Brian.
I got to see your band a couple days ago, and that is the first time I've ever seen you not play a guitar. You were playing a trumpet.
That is right. Yeah, I've switched to
the trumpets.
Yes. We played Mambos 1, 3, and 7. Remember, only prime Mambos.
Yeah, Mambo number prime. I remember that. That was a good callback from like 2 months ago.
Actually, we do a song. There is a song in our repertoire you did not see called the Mardi Gras Mambo, which would have been funny to me to see us actually do a mambo. But yeah, I was rocking the trumpet. I basically second trumpet. There's a 4-person horn section, trombone, saxophone. Much better trumpet player than myself and me.
You were rocking out though.
I did take a solo. Yeah.
You did.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you did, and it was a lot of big dudes on stage too.
Yeah,
you have no small people in your band, my friend.
It's a kind of a hefty band, and there's 9 of us. And the smallest guy is the drummer.
So even a tour van would be like a clown car.
Right, exactly. Like you pull up in the John Madden bus, and it would be like we're all spilling out because there's a lack of room. Yeah. Yeah. It just made me realize that. And then the drummer's a small guy, but he's got a big drum set, so it's like there's no compromise at all.
And the place that you were playing was tiny.
Yeah, we really had to cram on stage. I don't even know if you could see Bridget, the female singer, or the guitar player.
Now who sings in your band? Is that the keyboard player?
Yeah, Kevin, the keyboard player.
Gotcha. He was kind of hidden, and it's always weird watching a band play when you can't see the lead singer.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like you're playing with a track, but obviously you're not. It was odd, but there was a lot of people there. It was a lot of fun. So yeah. I want to say I'm glad that we came down and saw your band. It was very good.
I'm glad you guys came down and supported me. That was a very pleasant surprise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where were you, Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff.
What day was it? Saturday?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was cleaning my house.
Lame.
So I was at home.
Oh, I understand. That's way more fun than watching me play Mardi Gras music.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, obviously. So that's why I did it.
Did you go check out Here Come the Mummies at the Castle Theater on the 16th?
No, I stayed at my house. Actually, then I might have been in Florida because not this past week, but the week before, I was in Florida from Thursday through Tuesday, Monday, something like that.
Really?
At Walt Disney World.
Mm. Hence the small world joke, because that was the last theme park that you were at, huh?
Well, yeah, and we actually ended up living the dream of being stuck on It's a Small World.
Oh my god!
Ah, nice.
How long?
You know
did
what?
it take?
It took 6 minutes. We were going around a little turn toward probably whatever was supposed to be Iceland or Alaska or something like that, and the boat in front of us kept slowing down, and we were watching it, and it's because there were 3 people who they were packed butt to butt in the backseat of the boat, but they could only fit 3 people because they were that wide. And the back of the boat was actually like
Dragging?
bottoming out. It looked like it was bottoming out. So when it went around a corner at the slow pace that it does off the track, it sure as hell bottomed out and got stuck in between the rails. And then we had a chain of 5 boats just sitting there listening to that inane music. We tweeted at Walt Disney World, "Please God help us. We're stuck here."
Send reinforcements. We might not make it through the night.
Yeah, send food.
I don't think you're an American if you don't get stuck inside the It's a Small World ride. And I've never even been to Disneyland, so Disney World. Disney World.
It's at both.
It's at both.
The weird thing about It's a Small World ride is it's just as boring as it sounds. Like, you literally don't do anything. You sit in a boat, you listen to the same song over and over and over, and you watch a bunch of puppets dance around. But what always, or I guess recently has amazed me, is that nobody has tried to sue Disney yet for some sort of like racial insensitivity due to all the different ethnicities.
It's the same as the
puppets.
one that's in California, and that was built in like the 50s or 60s.
Right.
So it is all sorts of hilarious stereotypes with like fun child puppets.
My favorite is the very obviously African natives that are hunting the hippopotamus with spears.
Yeah. Yep.
There's no way that would fly today. Like, I can't believe somebody hasn't gotten upset about that yet. And it's not that they should, because they shouldn't, because it's totally innocent. So really, nobody should be offended by it. I'm just surprised with in the day and age of everybody being offended by everybody, there hasn't been some college sophomore somewhere that wanted to make a name for herself, so she wrote in her school newspaper about the racial insensitivities of It's a Small World.
I'm sure it's
Disney
happened.
World.
I'm sure it's been happening for 20 years now.
I think they just bury everything under the rug like Sweden does with rape cases.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Everyone knows. Everyone knows about 4/15. God rest its soul. Never forget. A date I just made up too. So I don't know what that is.
Somebody told it to me.
Yeah, someone told me. That's just what I heard. I heard it was April last year on the 15th.
I am so out of the loop. Is that why everybody keeps texting or chatting about Sweden?
He said something like alluded to a specific event. Like
Donald Trump.
He?
The president.
Gotcha. All right.
The president of the United States.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So not my president is talking to his hick supporters down in Florida. No. But he said something like, Sweden Friday night. And then Sweden was like, the whole country, Sweden was like, what happened here Friday night?
Yeah.
But now it's coming out that Sweden is allegedly burying the nature of their crimes and rape cases. So people will continue to migrate there because they are leading the world in immigration right now.
So basically, if I hear that right, Donald Trump talked out of his ass, and then some of it ended up being true. So really, Donald Trump is like a Walter Sobchak running the country right now. Because in The Big Lebowski, all Walter Sobchak does is talk out of his ass, but just enough of it becomes true that he's almost like a prophet.
Yeah,
like, is that
I guess it was from a Fox News story that he had seen,
right?
like just days previous, and was referenced. That was later like rescinded from Fox News, and said, this isn't totally correct to how it's going, and even to where like the king and queen of Sweden are getting on like Facebook and making videos about like how terrible their country is.
Yeah,
we'll have to ask Ryan about that.
We should, honestly, I kind of would, because I want to know if that shit's true, because it's the whole, like, who do you believe thing. I mean,
The guy who lived there for 6 years?
Exactly. Like, he would know. I would think he would have some intimate knowledge of the
And
situation.
where was he Friday night?
Yeah.
No,
Well, according to Facebook, he was eating tacos.
that's what I'm saying. Is
So-
he would have intimate knowledge of the situation. Not that he's the one committing the crimes. It's Muslims committing the crimes. We all know this.
See, this is why I
just all of the refugees. It doesn't matter where they're from. All of the refugees are committing crimes.
But yeah, all refugees are committing sexual assault and burglary.
Yes. Fact.
Fact.
Swedish fact. Bjorg.
Oh yeah, well, if you didn't want so many rapists, you shouldn't have put all the hottest women in the world in one country. I'm just saying.
See? Thank you for saying what everybody's thinking. It's about time somebody said it. It's about time somebody brought it up. Oh man, see
I think a lot of that's getting cut out.
Yeah, probably.
Some of
That'd
it's
probably be best.
pretty ignorant
Yep.
and
Yeah,
too
it is.
political.
Too important.
keep it in. I don't give a shit. Whatever.
Okay.
Well, while we're rambling, we're waiting for Marc Summers, host of Double Dare, to be giving us a call. He should be calling us any moment, and I'm excited to talk to Marc Summers because there's so many questions about Double Dare that I've had on my mind since I was 9 years old. Like, what was the slime made out of, and what was the quickest way to beat Pickett? Because it seemed like everybody always had a hard time beating Pickett.
Do you really think that he actually got underneath the nose?
No, but
and,
I was
tested out theories.
right. He had oh, that might be him.
He does
All
time
right.
trials on his own.
All right, 1 second. I'm gonna patch. 1 second, guys. Wild and crazy kids, Jeff, Dave,
Yes.
Marc Summers is on the phone.
Hi, Mark.
How you
Hey,
guys
Mark.
doing?
Pretty good.
How are you?
Where are you guys all located?
Well, we're kind of spread out all over Illinois. I'm in Chicago, Dave's in Joliet, and Jeff is in Bloomington, Illinois.
How much time you doing at Joliet? I believe that. Okay. Next,
I just work here. I just work here.
Yeah,
that's it. I'm an old Untouchables guy from the Elliott Estate. So
Nice. It is the prison.
they'll
city.
never take Dave alive. Well, Mark, thank you so much for calling the Nothing Important podcast. Very excited to talk to you. I have so many Double Dare questions for you, but I'm probably only going to get around to 3 of them because I tend to forget as I speak. But
Well, if you don't answer me, I have to take the physical challenge, so no problem.
oh man,
Question number 1 about Double Dare.
I have waited my whole life to hear you tell me to take the physical challenge. So can I just go straight to the physical challenge?
Sure, right now. Let's do it. Robert, let's see. Bring out some props. Here we go.
You know what I was actually thinking as we were getting ready to start recording is nowadays with the popularity of the Warrior Run and the Tough Mudder and such, you could easily make a mint off of just making giant ass Double Dare courses, kind of like the Tough Mudder, but instead of where you got to swim in the ice water, swim in the slime. That's like $1 billion idea.
You know, it's very interesting you mentioned that because I was very close to a TV deal once. Ryan Seacrest and I were actually going to produce that at some point. Really? And the guy who owned the rights to Tough Mudder was leading us on at the last minute, pulled the project from us. And he finally got it on, but nobody's watching the darn thing. I think it's the kind of thing you want to participate in and not necessarily watch on television. But they all seem somewhat derivative of what we did. And instead of using whipped cream and slime, they use mud and ice and stuff like that. But it's not too different, other than it takes 8 hours as opposed to 22 minutes. But
Yeah, I did a Tough Mudder, and now that I think about it, it'd be awesome. If at every obstacle there was just a nice little orange flag you could take home with you, and you got to stuff it down your pants and run on to the next.
There you go. I still do that every day. I love to get up every morning and take an orange flag and stick it down my pants. One of the highlights of life.
Double Dare was kind of like the original Ninja Warrior, though, for kids, and they've grown up to actually do that now and stuff. So it's just interesting.
What was the audition like for to be a host of Double Dare? Because at the time there was nothing like that. And going into the audition, did you know it was going to be about this?
The whole thing was a mistake. First of all, I wasn't supposed to go to the audition. A friend of mine, Dave Garrison, who I grew up with in Indiana, he was about 10 years younger than me. He was a ventriloquist. I was a magician, and I was working the Improv in Los Angeles, booking Monday nights, and I was booking him as a ventriloquist. And he finally got tired of how difficult it was to make it. He was a good actor, this and that, but he wasn't getting any traction. He wasn't getting a lot of action here in Los Angeles. So he called me up one day and said, "I just got a phone call to audition for some show. The network's called Nickelodeon. I don't know the name of the show. I don't want to be in front of the camera anymore. Why don't you go instead of me?" Now, I don't think I can do that today. So I showed up and I said, Dave Garrison was supposed to come, but I'm coming instead of him. What do you want me to do? And so they had two grown-ups playing the part of kids, and basically you walked them through a physical challenge. So I did that well the first time. They brought me back for a callback, and then they brought me back for another callback. So the first audition was in June, next one was July, next one was August. And I knew they were going to start shooting, like September 17th or something in New York City. And back then when I was auditioning, I always used to get the name of the casting director and whatever important management were sitting there. Well, I hadn't heard from them, and I knew they were getting ready to shoot. So I called Mike Klinghoffer, who was the exec producer at New York, and I said, "Hey, Mike, I know you guys are starting to shoot in like 14 days. What's the deal?" And he goes, "Funny you just called, but we've got it narrowed down to you and one other guy. We just can't decide who would be the best host." And I said, "Well, what's the criteria?" He said, "Well, we've never seen you guys work with kids because we always had the grown-ups playing the part of kids." And I said, "Well, I'm married. I have kids. I used to do magic shows and entertain kids." He goes, No, not good enough." So I'm the one who came up with the idea of flying me and whoever the other guy was out to New York from Los Angeles, auditioning in a room full of kids actually playing a full Double Dare game, and then said, "Let the best man win." So I did my audition first. I left. He did his audition. He left. 2 days later, they called me and they said, "You got the job." And I said, "So here's the question. You auditioned 1,000 people in New York, didn't like anybody, came to Los Angeles, auditioned more than 1,000 people in Los Angeles. Why did I get the job?" And they said at the end of his audition, he looked at the camera and said, "Is that it, or do you guys want me to do something else?" And I looked at the camera and said, "We'll be back with more Double Dare right after this." Because I threw the commercial, they thought that was more professional, and that's all.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
so you never know. Look, I had been watching TV and Barker and all those guys since I was a kid as a game show host, and I always knew when you were done, you threw the commercial, and that's what I did. I approached it like it was a real show, and it saved my life, changed my life, actually.
Lesson
Yeah,
learned.
how much of your old radio career helped in that too?
Well, yeah, I started, I was 15 years old. I was working on a channel, WBMP in Elwood, Indiana. I was doing weekends from 6 to 11. This is 1967, I think it was. And there was a guy who I'd met on the street, believe it or not, who wanted to learn magic. There was a big magic convention in Indianapolis in 66. And I said, "Well, what do you do for a living?" He said, I'm on the radio. And I said, "You teach me how to be on the radio and I'll teach you magic," which is what I did. And so he used to drive me up there. I do weekends 6 to 11. Well, he at one point lost his job, and I couldn't drive. I didn't have my license. I was too young, and my parents didn't want to schlep me up there. So I left, and Dave Letterman replaced me.
Not too bad of a replacement.
I don't know whatever happened to him, but no, he did really well.
I've never heard of him myself, so I don't know.
No, so he was doing 6 to 11 on weekends, and then he went more full time than I did. But I think I made $1.80 an hour back then.
Wow. Big
big
money.
bucks.
Big money, yeah. When you were on set there with Double Dare, how big was the actual audience? The actual audience was only was that like 50 to 100 people, if that? How big was the actual audience? Since
when we originally shot it in WHYY in the original set, there were probably about 120 kids, believe it or not. Then we moved it to this large auditorium in the same facility, and it became about 300. But when we used to do it down in Orlando, it was about 500 people in the audience, and we would change the audience about every 30 minutes. So you may come in and see the first part of a show, we get rid of the audience, and you see the second act, And then we get rid of them, and then we bring in another group, and you watch an obstacle course. Because at Universal, it was like the hottest ticket in its time, from like 90 to 94. And so more people wanted to see it, and we just kept turning audiences over like crazy. That was a huge facility. I mean, they built it specifically for us, because when we shot initially at HYY in Philly, it was a mess to try and clean the thing up. But when they built it down in Orlando, they had drains built into the floors. So they took those massive squeegees and just, hosed it down and put it in the drains, and we were able to turn it around in like 30 to 60 seconds. It was crazy.
And just recycle it back onto the set, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
When I was little, it might as well have been like the gladiator pits. I just remember watching at home, be like, man, that'd be so cool. I get to like ride this tricycle all over like melted chocolate, and there'd be like 1 billion people in the audience, and I could win a Nintendo game.
How old are you guys?
I am 36.
35.
You're right. Our target, our 34.
Yeah.
I mean, show we just did our third. Did you guys watch the 30th anniversary special we did?
No, I'm like one of these cord cutting idiots, and when I was super excited to book you, and I'm like, oh man, now I got to find that, because I started reading up on your background and stuff, and I'm like, oh shit, I got to find that, and I haven't been able to find it, but it has to be somewhere is it on YouTube? It has to be somewhere on the internet.
I'm assuming all that stuff is out there, in the zeitgeist somewhere. Yeah, but that was amazing, and so they're now talking to us about bringing it back as a grown-up program on Nick at Night. It did that well. So,
oh my God.
Well, you did one at Comic-Con this year, isn't that right?
Yeah, I'd never been to one of those things. That was totally insane. 125,000 people. I mean, these people standing in line at autographs and bringing out like pictures and merchandise that I'd never seen before. It was holy crap. I mean, there are some Nickelodeon and Double Dare freaks out there who just have been collecting the stuff since day one. It was fascinating, to see that stuff.
That's awesome. So, how did the reaction go for that? I mean, you said a lot of people were there taking autographs and such. I mean, did it feel like there was a lot of enthusiasm for people to bring the show back? And
oh yeah, I mean, and then we did a live Facebook feed where we actually played the game from this nightclub. First, we did it with kids from all that, and then we brought in like real contestants. We did it like 2 or 3 times. It was the hottest ticket down there. It was crazy.
That's amazing,
awesome,
man. So
yeah.
So if they do bring it back, when can we expect it to be back on TV? When's the target date? I mean, they got to have a time frame in mind, right?
Yeah, we're in conversations, as they say, right now. So I think, I don't know. I'm not sure to be this year, but I would venture to say perhaps as early as first quarter of 2018. But we're having good conversations, and they're very excited about the possibilities. So I'll just keep you posted on that.
Yeah. Are they
as long as Robin and Harvey are involved.
They are. It's one of the requests that I made, that if I come back, that we have to bring the whole team back, and that includes Harvey and Robin.
Awesome. Excellent.
I just want to put it out there, and I'm pretty sure Dave and Jeff would be up for this. We could be like a team of really lame podcasters.
And, and we have to go compete against public access television personalities.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. Or like lame podcasters versus NPR.
Oh my! Yeah, here's the NPR team. What's your name? Oh, my name.
No one important.
No one important. Yeah.
No one important from the Nothing Important podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
See, oh man, that's great. I hope it does come back. It's such a great, so many great memories of our from our childhood. I just remembered also too, like when it became like Family Double Dare, and there was Family Double Dare. All I kept thinking was like, wow, never in a million years would my parents do any of this.
Yeah, like
well, I hear that.
So cool.
Yes. Yeah. All the time I hear that from people saying, I wanted to audition, but my parents wouldn't do it, So,
yeah.
What can I tell you?
Yeah, my dad would be like, I ain't doing that shit. Like,
that's pretty much.
Yeah, you got a mud pit in the backyard, go roll around that for a while, man.
That's right. Leave me alone. Bring me another beer.
Well, Double Dare was obviously very good for you. It built you a fan base. It definitely gave you a great position as far as being a television host goes, and you went on to host more TV shows. is that where you thought you would be doing? Like when you were a stand-up comic, did you ever think like, man, I could host a bunch of TV shows and
oh, absolutely. That was the goal. I mean, look, I came out to Los Angeles in 1974, 73 actually. And at the time, I figured, I was going to take Johnny Carson's spot. Well, little did I know about, 1,000 other comics from around the country came out at the same time. So I started at the Comedy Store in 76. I became a regular then. And I was there at the same time that Dave and Jay and Robin and Chandling, we all started together around 76, 77. But the goal for me, a lot of them wanted to act, but I wanted to host TV shows, first talk and then, game. Game was always in the back of my mind. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it was always the goal. I've been very fortunate that I've never had a job outside the entertainment industry. I've never worked as a waiter. I've never worked at Macy's. Everything I've ever done from the time I graduated college has been in some form of entertainment. I worked at the Magic Castle for many years in Los Angeles. The worst job I ever had, and it was still in show business, I was a disc jockey at a restaurant called the Hungry Tiger in Los Angeles, playing bad disco music. Nice. But at least I was still getting paid to be, in the entertainment world and not saying, would you like fries with that? So, I'd been around for a while. I moved to LA in 73, May of 73, but Doubleday didn't happen until September of 76. So it was 13 years, or of 86 rather. So it was 13 years from the time I got there until I landed my first TV show as a host. It was a long time.
See, and that makes it even such a better. That makes it such an even better story, is because you talked about like that was kind of always the goal, was to be a host. But your very first big time hosting job happened on accident, and basically because you challenged the other person to a host off.
Well, yeah, and that was I was almost 34 years old. I had been doing warm-ups on, oh my God, Webster and Star Search and Alice and What's Happening Now. I was a king of warm-ups. At one point I was doing warm-ups on a show called Soap. Right next to me was Barney Miller. Letterman was doing warm-ups on that. And on the other side of me was a show called Bosom Buddies, and Bob Saget was doing the warm-up on that. So we all cut our teeth with that.
Wow.
Huh. Now, as a warm-up guy, right, that's like before they start taping, that's the person who kind of gets the audience ready and comfortable laughing in that environment, right?
Yeah, that's not the hard part. The hard part is when the show, tapes for 4 hours, and you have to keep the people up and laughing and feeling good about themselves. Certain shows, when I worked on the Alice TV show, we would be in and out in an hour. When I did Soap, we would go till midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and they would, want the audience to stay there. So that was brutal. But when I was a page at CBS, I used to watch the warm-up guys, and I'd say, well, hell, I can do that. I was working as a page on, Jesus, All in the Family, What's Happening? No, I know. It was All in the Family, Maude, Carol Burnett, Mary Tyler Moore, Bob Newhart, Rhoda. I mean, those are all the shows I was working on.
Iconic.
And there was always a guy going out warming up the audience, and I thought, well, hell, that would be fun. I could do that. And so that was the first move from that, and then stand-up, and you just did what you needed to do. I used to do a place. I used to judge wet T-shirt contests at a place called Big Jaws in Long Beach, California. I lived in an apartment, 13107.5 Moore Park in Sherman Oaks. It was $125 a month, and they would pay me $50 to MC wet T-shirt contests every Sunday. So I figured, well, hell, that's almost half the rent. I'm going to do that. So you do what you have to do to pay the rent.
So that's where the real Double Dare experience came from.
There you go. Talk about
getting sloppy.
I want to tell you, but hey.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I would watch a show called Marc Summers Judges Wet T-shirt Contest.
Yeah, I don't think we'd have trouble getting viewers on that deal.
It'd be perfect. It'd be great.
Yeah. So, I've had a million freaking jobs. I mean, I was a professional magician. That's how I put myself through college. And then I started a place called the Magic Castle out here. And I worked, we did 24 shows a week for $140. I mean, we're getting like, $14, $18, $20, $24 a show. And so I hadn't worked there. I worked there consistently for 10 years. And then I didn't work there for 30 years. And I went last April because I was getting ready to start this one-man show that I'm doing now. And I hadn't been on stage by myself for a long time. So I played a week at the Magic Castle about a year ago. And that was like insane because, I hadn't done magic in so long and I hadn't been on stage performing like that. So it was scary, but fun and necessary because the one-man show I'm doing now called The Life and Slimes of Marc Summers, Everything in Its Place. I'm on stage for an hour and a half. And
wow.
It's a whole different ball game. Yeah, it's fun. I'm having a good time doing it.
Is that a touring show?
Well, we started it in Bloomington, Indiana, at a place called Bloomington Playwrights Project, and then we did the Adirondack Theater Festival last summer. And I'm actually in negotiations right now to start it off Broadway. They're talking to me about doing a tour that starts in Philadelphia, then we do 6 weeks off Broadway, take it on the road for 12 weeks, and then back to New York. So we're in the middle of the fundraising time right now, and so we'll see if that even happens. But, you know, in the entertainment business, you have to have 5 balls up in the air at all times and hope that, you know, 2 or 3 of them work and the other ones, you know, go away. So I'm always working it, guys, constantly. It never ends.
Well, that's great to hear, Mark. I hope that, you know, everything with the revival of Double Dare comes back around. And if you bring the Life and Slimes of Marc Summers to Chicago, you can bet I will be there.
Yeah, we will be there.
That would be cool. And we'll play the prison so your friend there can watch it. It'll be fantastic.
Awesome. Well, Marc Summers, thank you so much for coming on the Nothing Important podcast. It's been an absolute honor. We wish you nothing but the best in the future, and we hope that you come back and chat with us again sometime.
And thanks, you guys are fun. You're really good. I appreciate it, and have a nice evening.
Thanks, Mark.
Have a wonderful evening,
Thank you
Mark.
very much.
All right, Marc Summers.
He called us. He called us good.
That was cool.
Very interesting dude, right?
He said we were good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a compliment from Marc Summers.
We blushed.
It's all right, whether he meant it or not.
Yeah, he probably didn't, but no. He
That was
seems
good
like
chat. That was a good chat.
yeah, an incredibly cheerful guy. You know, I told him as I was getting ready to patch him into the phone call because he's gone through some rough times. He had a really bad car accident, survived a bout with cancer, struggles with a pretty heavy case of OCD. You know, needing therapy and such, and it was nice. Because I told him, I said, look, I don't know what these other guys plan on talking about because we don't plan anything. It just goes. Are you comfortable with those subjects? And without missing a beat, he just very happily is like, I will talk about whatever you gentlemen want to talk about, which is nice. It put me at ease because, you know, I didn't want to, because we don't plan our chats and none of us like converse amongst each other with what we're going to say to our guests. So I didn't want to say like, well, if we could steer away from the cancer thing, and then then Jeff be like, well, how was cancer?
Yeah.
How about that chemotherapy?
Yeah.
No.
Right. But
How many feet of your intestine did you lose? 5, 6?
I'm just.
glad-
I
No,
guess
that's cool.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step
ahead.
on your toes, Jeff.
You're fine, Dave. Go ahead.
I'm actually pleasantly surprised that he was so willing to talk about Double Dare, but I guess now that they're kind of rebooting it or might bring it back, that makes more sense. But, you know, because like, the show was 30 freaking years ago. Like, who wants to talk about shit they did 30 years ago? But he's all
That's
about
also what I was kind of thinking. A lot of it was like, okay, we all really like Double Dare. That was in our wheelhouse when we were kids.
Yeah.
Obviously, he even said we were the target audience then.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, right that age. But I was just wondering, all right, like when are we going to learn about his other stuff or what he's doing? I don't know. That was just me
But
sitting
then he
here being
worked
an
in-
asshole.
Then he worked in some awesome stories about how, like, his stories were awesome.
Yeah.
Those are great.
Actually,
Yeah.
his stories were some of the best pieces. Like you can't read about that stuff.
Right.
You
Right.
know, as much research as you do.
Absolutely. I thought it was just it's just a fun chat. It's cool because he was such a big part of all of our childhood. When I saw Dave when I went to see his band, the Big Vignette. Is that how it's pronounced, Dave?
Big Lan Yep.
The Big Vignette.
Big Lan Yep.
All right, the Big Vignette.
Yep. YEP.
Okay. So when I went and saw Dave's band,
The Big
Dave
Lan
was
Yep.
like, "Whoa, thank you." Dave even said to me, "What are we going to talk to Marc Summers about? Double Dare?" And I'm like, "Absolutely! Like that's exactly what we're going to talk to Marc Summers about because it's what we know him for, and you know he's a professional in every sense of the word. He worked in a bunch of neat asides, and it was just overall fun chat. And you know, I hope one day get to see his one-man show, and I hope they do revive Double Dare. I think that'd be absolutely amazing."
My biggest takeaway from the whole
Yeah.
thing is the whole, like, when he did his audition, he threw it to the commercial like a professional motherfucker would do, because that's that's a huge lesson that a lot of people don't realize. Like, if you're auditioning for something, you got to be, that's almost method.
You stay in it the whole time.
Yeah,
Stay in it the whole time.
exactly. Don't let up.
Yeah.
You never let your foot off their throat when they're down. Right, Atlanta Falcons? # not my Super Bowl.
Well,
Wow. Okay.
with that, I'm glad you gentlemen were there for the chat with me with Marc Summers. Please check Dave and I out at It's All Good Man, the Better Call Saul podcast. You can find that at itsallgoodman.com. Also find it on iTunes. Be sure, if you're in the Chicago area, to check out Dave's band called
The Big Land Yep.
Way to pick it up and run with it, Dave. Did they drop out?
No, I'm here. I said it.
Oh, sorry, my phone cut out. So,
yeah,
awesome.
I said it. Yeah.
He said it.
Gotcha. Make sure to stop by and see
He
Dave.
said it. He said it.
I love when we do
All right,
this.
just stop. just stop recording now.
Be sure to follow Nothing Important online at nothingimportantpodcast.com. Find us on iTunes, on Twitter at NotImportantPC, and you can also find us on Facebook. Nothing Important is recorded with help from Third City Sound in Joliet, Illinois. Thanks for being awesome.